And for a starting lineup that might be able to mitigate the defensive issues that they currently do and likely will have again with their current starting lineup, I think the addition of Jared Vanderbilt is a very viable option. I mean, we're talking about probably the best defender on their team at this point, following the trade of Anthony Davis, who was the best defender on their team. Now it's probably Jared Vanderbilt when healthy, and I think that title now falls to Jared Vanderbilt when healthy and when actually able to be the defender that he is and is most comfortable on the court. And what I mean by that is the fact that Redick and the current head coaching staff didn't really use him the way I would have liked. Using him more as a big and kind of a help side defender at the rim, rather than that point of attack and simply chaos creating guy in the perimeter. I don't like to bring up Darvin Ham very often, but if there's one thing I liked more about Darvin Ham and what he did with an individual player on their team, it would be with Jared Vanderbilt compared to what JJ Redick did with him. Like I said, using him as that chaos creating, perimeter defender, defensive pest on the court, that's what he did with Jared Vanderbilt, and probably when Jared Vanderbilt was at his best on their team. Not to say that he was a bad defender last season, even in a role that I didn't prefer him at and probably that he was not the most comfortable with, he was still pretty effective on defense. Whether you're talking about defensive playmaking, averaging 1 steal per game in only 16 minutes per game, translating to over 2 of them per 36 minutes, talking about deflections, he led their team in deflections per 36 minutes on the court. Simply in regard to defensive versatility and switching on defense, Vanderbilt per bballindex.com was the NBA's most versatile, impactful defender last season, guarding point guards roughly 19.9% of the time, shooting guards 19.3% of the time, small forwards 15.5% of the time, and power forwards 24% of the time, along with centers 21.3% of the time. Really showing off how different of players he guarded, how often his matchups and switching would change in the court, how he truly can defend and switch 1 through 5, at least sometimes, and isn't afraid to do it, and the way they utilized him kind of made him do it. That's kind of the thing you can point to with Jared Vanderbilt that nobody else in their team can currently offer. And well, comparing that to Rui Hachimura, who is really not even close to that, and not to mention currently in a role that he's really not fit for on defense, kind of being forced to take on the best wing matchup on the court every game, due to playing with both Luka Doncic and LeBron, who are not going to take on that matchup and shouldn't take on that matchup for that fact. They're going to be taking more off-ball matchups that don't require them to chase players in the court, guard the best or even second best player on the court. That difficulty and that situation often falls to Rui Hachimura because LeBron and Luka can't or really shouldn't do it on the court, and the same can be said for Austin Reeves. So with that in mind here, if we're simply talking about defense and the better fit for that role on defense in their starting lineup, it would obviously be Jared Vanderbilt. Not even really a discussion in my opinion. Hachimura is not a terrible defender per se, but he's not a great side-to-side athlete, therefore not translating well to perimeter defense, screen navigation, chasing players in the court, and simply keeping up with guards or wings in the court. That's definitely not his forte on defense, or really any part of his game for that fact too. So if we're simply talking about defense, yes, I obviously would take Jared Vanderbilt. I think pretty much everyone else would too, but obviously there's more to talk about here than simply defense. I think personally that's what they need more of in their starting lineup, so I would actually favor it here in this argument, but you obviously have to factor in offense too. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.